Now, for more on this is CNN's senior international correspondent Will Ripley and CNN Global Affairs analyst Kim Dozier. She's a Time magazine contributor. Thanks for being here, guys. Will, we hear from the White House, first and foremost, how important this overall trip is for them, for the president. A shift back to the focus of where he wanted it to be for so long. How is this trip being viewed from over there where you are?
Well, I think certainly here in Taiwan, they're encouraged to see President Biden coming to the region to show that the United States can handle two major hotspots at once. That would be Russia, Ukraine, and of course, China, Taiwan. President Biden entered office viewing China as the #1 foreign policy challenge. That was a similar viewpoint shared by the Trump administration when I had conversations with their diplomats several years ago. And so this is also a time that North Korea is stepping up provocations yet again. You have, obviously, you have increasing tensions between Taiwan and mainland China, Kate. So there's a lot, plus trade and the economy and all these other things. There's a lot that President Biden can get done here in this very important part of the world.
That's a good point. Kim, the conventional, I guess, thought would be that the war in Ukraine has distracted Biden from his focus, his desired focus on China. But you also see that that the alliance that has come together because of the war sends a very powerful message to China at the very same time. What is that message?
Well, absolutely. When the Ukraine war started, a senior U.S. official told me the Biden administration took it like a gut punch. They were in all the stages of grief, including denial, until they sort of embraced the fight. And in doing so, rounded up an important alliance, which is something that China is watching. I mean, right now where I am, I'm in Stockholm. I just came from Finland, and before that, Estonia. Estonia is very happy to see Finland and Sweden joining NATO. And a Japanese official I met along the way said that watching what the U.S. administration has done in service of protecting Ukraine makes them feel a lot more confident that the Biden administration will show up if there's a threat to Japan.
And well, as Barbara Starr was reporting on the possibility, and you mentioned, of the North Korean missile test happening during this trip, how would you describe just Biden's overall approach to North Korea so far? And what would this test, what would a test, a possible test, what would it do?
Well, President Biden's approach is not exactly President Obama's strategic patience, but it's pretty close. He has been very hands-off, from what I've been told, not engaging, even, kind of letting his lower-level diplomats try to handle this. But from the North Korean perspective, and I talk with sources who speak with the North Koreans, they're not interested in lower-level talks. After they had those summits with the former President Trump, they want leader-to-leader communication. It was suggested to me that it would be really helpful if President Biden were to write a letter to Kim Jong-un. Of course, we have no idea if that might have happened secretly or not. Trump and Kim were exchanging love letters, as the former president put it. So the North Koreans at this stage, they're not willing to engage with the United States, even though the U.S. is offering talks without preconditions. And so to force themselves into the conversation, to get President Biden talking about them, what better way than to launch a big missile or potentially a nuclear test while he's in the region? I don't think they would go that far, although 2016 President Obama left the region and they did a nuclear test shortly thereafter. So anything's possible.
It absolutely is. And Kim, you've noted, though, that missile tests are North Korea's go-to move to try and get any kind of talks started, if you will. Do you think that it's going to work with President Biden?
Well, the interesting thing is that North Korea has also recently admitted it's got a COVID crisis. So generally what it often does is make a threat and then also hold its hand out for some sort of aid. So this could present an opportunity. What the Biden administration now has to do is prove that it can turn some of its new European coalition building into a strength that perhaps gets China to lever Pyongyang to be more reasonable and maybe open the way to peace talks. We'll have to see.
Yeah, it's good to see both of you. Thank you so much. Coming up for us, the CDC could soon